Japanese people eat whales, dolphins, and raw eggs, and yet, most don't even know what vegan means. Sounds outrageous? Or maybe culturally misunderstood. In the West, veganism is more than a diet, it's a moral stance. But in Japan, food is tied to something else. Entirely spirituality, nature, and quiet respect for life. This video doesn't attack veganism. It asks a deeper question. Is it possible that the Japanese way of eating, without preaching or labeling, already holds an ancient ethical wisdom that the West is only beginning to seek? From whale meat to Buddhist temples, from raw seafood to seasonal gratitude, we'll explore why Japan never needed a vegan revolution. And in the end, you might not agree, but you just might understand. So let's begin with the roots of veganism in the West, and why it feels so necessary there. Section 1: Why veganism feels necessary in the West. Why did veganism even become a movement? It wasn't always like this. Just a few decades ago, eating meat was seen as normal, even necessary. But then something changed. Industrial farming began to grow. Animals were no longer treated as living beings. They became numbers, products, commodities. Cows packed into small cages. Pigs never seeing sunlight. Chickens bred to be so large, they couldn't stand. And people started to see it. They saw the cruelty, the waste, the pain, and they said enough. Veganism grew not from food trends, but from moral outrage. It was about justice, about ethics, about protecting life. And over time, it became more than food. It became identity, a way to feel pure, compassionate, even superior. But here's a question. Is the rise of veganism more about animals or about human guilt? In the West, eating meat became associated with shame, because the system became so cruel that even the meat began to feel dirty. But Japan never went through that, not in the same way. To understand why, we first need to look at how Japan sees food, and how it sees life itself. Section 2: Japan's surprising relationship with food. They eat raw eggs, raw fish, even whales, and yet, somehow they don't feel guilty about it. Isn't that strange? In Japan, food is not just fuel. It's not just nutrition. It's a relationship between the eater and the eaten, between nature and human life. This is why Japanese people say Itadakimasu before eating. It doesn't mean bon appetit. It means, I humbly receive the life that was given. There is no joy in killing, but there is gratitude in receiving. That's the emotional core of Japanese eating. Even schoolchildren are taught to reflect before they eat. Where did this come from? Who prepared it? What gave its life for this meal? This doesn't mean all Japanese people are spiritual about food, but the culture holds this invisible value. It's everywhere, in the language, in the rituals, in the silence. So when a foreigner sees a Japanese person eating sashimi, they might think, how can they be so cruel? But in the Japanese mind, they are not being cruel at all. They are being respectful. In fact, the very act of eating done properly is a way of honoring life, not ignoring it. So the real question is this: is guilt the only form of morality? Or can gratitude be just as ethical? Section 3: Shinto and the idea of life in all things. What if a rock had a soul? What if a tree, a river, or even your dinner was sacred? This is not a fantasy. This is Shinto. The ancient Japanese religion believes that everything in nature has spirit called kami. Not just gods in the sky, but the wind, the sea, even a grain of rice. That's why Japan is filled with shrines. Not just for deities but for mountains, animals, waterfalls, even tools. In this worldview, life is not something that only humans possess. It's everywhere. And because life is everywhere, taking life is not evil, it's inevitable. The key is how you take it. With awareness, with humility, with ritual. You can't simply kill and forget. You must acknowledge, bow, and say thanks. That's why, even fishermen pray before going to sea. There's no need to purify yourself by not eating meat. Instead, you purify your heart by being grateful when you do. This might sound strange to someone raised on dominion over animals. But in Japan, Humans are not above nature. We are inside it. So the question is not, should we eat animals? It's, can we respect them even as we do? Shinto doesn't offer guilt. It offers reverence. Section 4 Buddhism, Death, and Gratitude in Japanese Meals. Would you say thank you to a dying animal? In Japan, the answer is yes. That's not because people enjoy death. It's because they accept it. Buddhism teaches that all life is impermanent. Everything born must die, and every death gives life to something else. In this cycle, we are not separate from nature. We are part of it. So when Japanese people say Itadakimasu before a meal, it's not just manners. It's a quiet prayer, a moment of recognition. Something died so I can live. In the West, death is often hidden, sanitized, wrapped in plastic, far from the table. But in Japan, death is not something to run from. It's something to face with calm respect. School lunches even teach children this value. They learn where their food comes from. They clean their own trays. And they say thank you not just to the cooks, but to the animals, to the vegetables, to the lives that made this possible. You don't have to be religious to understand it. It's not about worship. It's about humility. In a world full of consumption, Japan teaches something different. Eating is not just taking. It's receiving. And when you receive life, you bow your head. Section 5 The Whale and Dolphin Controversy Misunderstood Japan. Why do Japanese people eat whales and dolphins? For many Westerners, that's a deal breaker. That's not food, that's cruelty. They picture intelligent creatures suffering. But what if I told you this isn't about cruelty or ignorance? It's about history, survival, and culture. In post-war Japan, whale meat was not a luxury. It was survival. Children in schools ate it because they had no other protein. For coastal towns, whaling was tradition. Not for profit, but for the community. Every part of the whale was used, nothing wasted. The people even held ceremonies to thank the whale's spirit. To them, it was no different than eating chicken or beef. In fact, it was probably done with more respect. But the West sees whales and dolphins as special, intelligent, playful, almost human. So when they see Japan's practices, they see monsters. But let's pause. Is it really about the animals or about what we choose to feel attached to? The West cries out for whales. Yet billions of pigs and cows suffer silently every year. Japan's whaling isn't above criticism. But labeling an entire culture barbaric ignores deeper truths. Sometimes, outrage is less about ethics and more about unfamiliarity. In the end, we must ask ourselves, is our anger truly moral or just emotional? Section 6 Factory Farms versus Traditional Respect. Which is more respectful, factory farming or a single clean kill? Be honest with yourself. In much of the West, animals are raised out of sight, hidden from the public, packed into cages, pumped with hormones, slaughtered by machines, then packaged, frozen, and placed neatly on supermarket shelves. It's efficient, but is it ethical? Now compare that to a Japanese fisherman who catches one fish, who stuns it with care, who thanks it, who serves it fresh, whole, and clean. He sees the eyes. He knows what he's doing. There's no hiding, no denial, no pretending it came from nowhere. So here's the question. Is it more ethical to eat cruelty-free chicken nuggets, or to take one life with full awareness and gratitude? Western consumers often rely on distance. They don't want to see the suffering. But in Japan, closeness is part of the process. It's not always pretty, but it's honest. This doesn't make Japan perfect, but it does make Japan different. In a world of mass production, Japan reminds us of something we've forgotten. When you eat, something dies. The question is not whether that's right or wrong. The question is, do you have the courage to face it? Section 7 Japan's Minimalist Meat Culture. Did you know that Japan barely ate meat for over 1,000 years? That's right, no beef, no pork. For centuries, Japan was mostly plant-based and fish-based. It wasn't a trend, it was the norm. Influenced by Buddhism, the Japanese avoided killing large animals. The idea of slaughtering a cow or pig was once unthinkable. Even emperors followed this rule. Meat from four-legged animals was banned in official court life. So how did people get protein? Through tofu, miso, seaweed and most of all, fish. Japan, being an island nation, developed a deep relationship with the ocean. Fish wasn't just food, it was medicine, a source of life. That's why Japanese cuisine evolved so differently. Small portions, balanced nutrition, focus on freshness and seasonality. Meat only became common after World War II. And even now, the Japanese eat much less red meat than Western countries. So when vegans say, "Stop eating so much meat," Japan might quietly reply, "We already don't." In fact, the average Japanese diet is closer to the original spirit of veganism. Mindful, moderate, and grateful. This doesn't mean Japan is better, but it does mean it's different. And in a world of extremes, sometimes, moderation is the wisest path. Section 8 Food Aesthetics and the Living Presentation Debate. Is serving a live fish beautiful or cruel? In Japan, it's called Ikizukuri. And for many foreigners, it's hard to watch. The fish may still move, its eyes may blink, and yet it's served on a plate. To some, it looks like torture. But to others, it's art. In Japanese aesthetics, freshness isn't just about flavor. It's about connection. The shorter the distance between life and death, the more honest the meal feels. It's not about cruelty. It's about confronting life, about not pretending. The presentation is meant to say, "This is what you are eating. Don't forget that it was once alive." Of course, not all Japanese people like this. Some think it's excessive. Others find it hard to watch too. But culturally, Ikizukuri belongs to a tradition of respect, not dominance. In the West, we often sanitize everything. Fillet it, fry it, hide the head. In Japan, sometimes they leave the head on. Not to shock you, but to remind you. So ask yourself, is hiding the truth more humane? Or is looking it in the eye the deeper form of respect? Section 9 Vegan options in Japan quietly increasing. You don't see many vegan signs in Japan. No big plant-based labels. No meat-free menus in every cafe. But does that mean Japan lacks vegan options? Not at all. In fact, plant-based eating has quietly existed here for centuries. It just doesn't advertise itself. Take Shojin Ryorid traditional cuisine of Buddhist monks. No meat, no fish, no garlic or onion. Just vegetables, tofu, seaweed, and seasonal ingredients. It's balanced, it's beautiful, and it's 100% plant-based. Or consider Zaru Soba cold buckwheat noodles with soy-based dipping sauce. Or simple dishes like Nasu Dengaku grilled eggplant with miso glaze. These meals don't scream vegan, but they align perfectly with the values. Japan doesn't always put a label on its ethics. Sometimes, it just lives them quietly. And now, things are changing. Tokyo has seen a rise in vegan cafes, meat substitutes, and awareness campaigns. Younger generations are more curious. Tourists are asking. But even without the trend, the roots were already here. So maybe the real question isn't, why doesn't Japan go vegan? It's, was Japan always more vegan than it looked? Section 10 Beyond Judgment Understanding versus Converting. Must we all eat the same way to be ethical? Or can different cultures find different paths to the same value? Western veganism is powerful. It challenges cruelty. It protects animals. It rethinks consumption. But when it turns into a crusade, go vegan or you're wrong, something is lost. Japan didn't resist veganism to be stubborn. It simply never needed the label. Respect for life was already baked into the culture. Through Shinto, through Buddhism, through daily rituals, no one shouted, but the message was still there. Be grateful, be aware, don't forget what feeds you. That's not against veganism. It's just another version of the same spirit. So instead of judging Japan for not using Western words, maybe it's time to listen to the wisdom behind the silence. Not every culture needs a movement. Some just live the values naturally. So what do we really want? A world where everyone eats the same? Or a world where values are shared even if the plates look different? In the end, Maybe it's not about who's right. Maybe it's about who's willing to understand. Cultural habits like this may seem small, but they reflect big ideas. How does your culture compare? Let's share and learn from each other. Leave a comment if you'd like. And please like and subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.